Rivers State government declares coveting helicopter personnel non grata. Chinese medical team arrives in Nigeria. Gbajabiamila asks federal government to waive electricity tariffs for 2 months. Bernie Sanders suspends presidential campaign. Federal government to shut down oil refineries for upgrades, says NNPC GMD. These and many more after this break. I am Kenneth OKZ. To stay tuned.
You can also watch Salvation TV News Hour live on Twitter at Salvation TV Live, Periscope at Salvation TV Live, Twitch, Salvation Television. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Salvation TV and like and follow us on Facebook at Salvation Television.
And now the news in detail. For endangering the lives of Rivers people by its suspicious operations, the Rivers State government has declared coveting helicopters persona non grata in the state. In a state broadcast on Wednesday, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike directed local government council chairman to close the offices of coveting helicopters across the state. Governor Wike says that the highly insensitive and provocative actions of coveting helicopters took place in the midst of credible intelligence reports about plans by enemies of the state to traffic carriers of the dreaded coronavirus into the state.
Let me reiterate that for us, COVID-19 in Rivers State is a matter of life and death, and we will never succumb to any blackmail from any person, institution, or authority in our determination to protect our citizens and our state from the spread of this deadly virus. Since we triggered a law on coveting helicopters, we have seen and read all sorts of hilarious and frivolous comments, particularly on social media, questioning the propriety of our actions against the carrier and its passengers. At this time and under the present situation, nothing, I repeat, nothing is more important to us than to safeguard the lives and well-being of our citizens, no matter the cost, and we shall spare no efforts to achieve this singular, most important fundamental objective.
Rivers State Governor says that the action of coveting helicopters when they conveyed passengers of doubtful coronavirus status into the state was flagrant violation of the state government's total restriction on flights into Port Harcourt. A 15-man medical team from China has arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. The team arrived in Nigeria in a chartered Air Peace aircraft on Wednesday afternoon. They are expected to assist Nigeria in efforts to contain the COVID-19 pandemic. Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ihenare, was at the airport to receive the medical team. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Oyema, says protocols for evacuating Nigerians in the diaspora have been completed and the country is in a stronger and better position to bring Nigerians interested in return to the country back. Oyema spoke about the plans for Nigerians outside the country in reaction to a question about letters and reports about Nigerians being stuck outside the country during the daily briefings by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. The minister says that they have started to get greater number of Nigerians, especially in the United States, where almost 200 have now indicated their willingness to return. He added that they are engaging with Nigeria's embassy in China and high commissioners in London and also in France to work out all the logistics for their return. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has asked the federal government to waive electricity tariffs for 2 months. Speaking during a meeting between the leadership of the National Assembly and executive on Wednesday in Abuja, Gbajabiamila emphasized the need for an all-inclusive relief package for Nigerians arising from the effects of COVID-19 crisis. He noted that the most effective means of alleviating the financial burden of the stay-at-home order to prevent the spread of coronavirus is for the federal government to give 100% waiver on the electricity consumed by every household in the country. A magistrate court sitting in Yaba area of Lagos State has sentenced 51 persons for violating the lockdown and the social distancing directives of the Lagos State government. The defendants were sentenced to 1-month community service. Chief Magistrate Peter Ojo convicted the defendants following their plea of guilt to a charge of unlawful gathering. They were convicted in 2 separate arraignments and trial by the State Criminal Intelligence and Investigation Department, Party Yaba. Nigeria's Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has confirmed 22 new cases of the COVID-19 in Nigeria, bringing the total number of infections in the country to 276. According to the NCDC, 15 are in Lagos, 4 are in FCT, 2 are in Bauchi, while the other is in Edo. President Muhammadu Buhari has granted pardon to some inmates of the custodial centers of the Nigeria Correctional Service. The move is to decongest some of the overburdened custodial centers in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. While it was not clear the category of inmates that will be released, it is understood that the initiative will be flagged off in Abuja today. Interior Minister Rauf Arabessola had last week explained that he had met the Minister of Justice and other relevant officials to agree on a proposal to be presented to the President on decongesting the facilities at this period. Still to come on the news this hour, France Macron refuses to see WHO locked into U.S.-Chinese war. Britain's Johnson responding to treatment but remains in intensive care. Customs distributes seized goods worth 3.2 billion naira as relief items. Do stay tuned.
The gates of hell shall not prevail. Now in the name of Jesus, everywhere Satan has crippled the world economy, we toss him in the name of Jesus. In my name you shall cast out devil. Whatever we bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. The root of coronavirus is tossed in the name of Jesus. Globally, we cause it from its foundation. We command the human race held captive set free. In the name of Jesus. And right now, we command that sickness to be cast out of the world. In Jesus' mighty name. But you will never be a victim of any attack.
Five Nights of Glory 2020 marked the gathering of giants, the salvation of souls, counting into tens of millions, the birth and rebirth of gods in the form of man. Five Nights of Glory 2020 marked the making of man. Day 1, the making of Abraham. Day 2, the making of Joseph. Day 3, the making of David. Day 4, the making of Paul. Day 5, the making of Jesus.
God is the maker of man. Until you are made by God, you'll be limited in life. If you are self-made, you'll be self-destroyed.
Learn what it takes to be made by God in this series and gain flight to your next height. MP3 and DVD messages are available worldwide. Please visit the Knowledge Center closest to you or www.smhos.org/store.
Good to know you're still there. And on the foreign scene, Senator Bernie Sanders has ended his presidential campaign, clearing the way for former Vice President Joe Biden to become the Democratic Party's nominee. Sanders told reporters on Wednesday he saw no visible path to get enough votes to win the nomination. An early front-runner, Sanders found success with young voters but slipped behind Biden in recent weeks. He helped make health care and income inequalities key election issues. Sanders campaigned on policies including healthcare for all, free public college, raising taxes on the wealthy, and increasing minimum wage. Still on the foreign scene, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said on Wednesday that now was the time to assess the global response to coronavirus pandemic, calling instead for the international community to focus on working in solidarity to stop the virus. His statement came after U.S. President Donald Trump sharply criticized the World Health Organization on Tuesday, accusing it of being too focused on China and issuing bad advice during the new coronavirus outbreak. Secretary General is due to briefly brief the 15-member Security Council on the coronavirus pandemic today at the request of two-thirds of the body. French President Emmanuel Macron offered his full support to the World Health Organization in a call with his director on Wednesday, a day after U.S. President Donald Trump criticized the international organization. He reaffirmed his trust, his support for the institution, and refuses to see it locked into a war between China and the USA. Macron, a big defender of multilateral organizations, has locked horns in the past with Trump over the American president's criticism of institutions that have been a bedrock of post-war international cooperation. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was responding to treatment, his spokesman said Wednesday, as the 55-year-old leader spent the third day in intensive care battling the coronavirus. The disease has struck at the heart of the British government and infected more than 55,000 people across the country and killed nearly 6,200. The Prime Minister remains clinically stable and is responding to treatment, his official spokesman said. He continues to be cared for in intensive care unit in St. Thomas Hospital, adding that he is in good spirits. In out of business news, we will tell you that federal government is set to shut down all its oil refineries in its effort to secure funding and a model to upgrade them. The Group Managing Director of Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, reveals. In a statement posted on Twitter, Kyari also says the oil industry will look to cut costs and extend payment wherever possible to survive oil prices that hit 80-year-old lows last month. Controller General of Nigeria Customs Service, Ahmed Ali, has approved the release of 6 items ranging from 46,000 metric tons of rice, 36,495 kegs of vegetable oil, and other items valued at 3.2 billion naira for distribution. Customs Public Relations Officer Joseph Atta, in a series of tweets on Nigeria Customs Twitter handle, noted that service does not have the liberty to issue seized items as they deem fit. He said these items were approved for distribution based on the presidential directive to boost the federal government's efforts to alleviate sufferings associated with the lockdown in some parts of the country. And finally, federal government says it spent 1.5 trillion naira to subsidize petroleum motor spirit, PMS, also known as petrol, in 2019. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Ita Inang, disclosed this in a communique made available to newsmen. The communique was issued after a consultative meeting between a federal government team led by the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Niger Delta Affairs and the Association of Artisanal Local Refineries Operators in Nigeria. Inang disclosed that the amount was incurred as subsidy because the commodity was imported at points where the landing costs were higher than regulated price of the commodity in Nigeria. And that's it on the news this hour. Thanks for watching. I am Kenneth Okezie. Good morning.
Salvation TV, restoring hope, transforming destinies.
Preserve